I'm going to read The Prince and the Pauper. Today's story is The Prince and his Deliverer. As the sunlight marked the hand and the little prince were clear of the mob, they strode down through back lanes and alleys through the river. Their way was unobstructed until they approached the London Bridge. Then they plowed into the multitude again, Hendon keeping a fast grip upon the princess. The king's wrist, the tremendous news was already abroad, and the boy learned it from thousand voices at once. The king is dead. The tidings struck a chill to her heart of the poor little waif, and Santa shuddered through his frame. He realized the greatness of his loss, and was filled with its bitter grief. For the green tyrant, who had been such a terror to others, had always been gentle with him. The tears sprang to his eyes, and then blurred all objects. For an instant he felt himself the most forlorn, outcast, and forsaken of God's creatures. Then another cry shook the night with its far-reaching thunders. Long live King Edward VI. And dismayed his eyes kindled, and thrilled him with pride to his fingers, and, he thought, how grand and strange it seems. I am king. Our friends thrilled their way slowly through the throngs upon the bridge. This structure, which had stood for 600 years, and had been a noisy and populous thoroughfare all the time, was curious affairs before a closely packed line of stores and shops, with family quarters overhead, and stretches along both sides of it, from one bank of the rivers to the other, and the bridge was a sort of town to itself. It had its inn, its beer's house, its bakery, its haberdashers, its food market, its manufacturing industries, and even its church. I looked upon the two neighbors which it linked together to London and Southwark as being well enough as a suburb, but not otherwise particularly important. It was a close corporation, so to speak. It was a narrow town of a single street, a fifth of a mile long. Its population was about a village population, and everybody in it knew all its fellow townsmen intimately, and on their fathers and mothers, the people them, and all their little family staff affairs into the bargain. That is aristocracy, of course. It finds the old families of butchers and bakers and walnuts, who had occupied the same old premise for 500 or 600 years, and knew the great history of the bridge from beginning to end, and all its strange legends, and who always talked bridge talk, and thought and allowed in a long, level, direct, substantial bridge way. It was just so the population to be narrow and ignorant and self-conceited. Children were born on the bridge and were rare. Theirs grew to old age, and finally died without ever having set foot upon any part of the world but London Bridge alone. Such people would naturally imagine that the mighty and interminable processions which moved through the street night and day, with its confused roar of shouts and cries, its names and belongings and beating and its muffled thunder tramp, and was one great things in this world, and themselves somehow the proprietors of it, and so they were. In effect, at least they could exhibit it from their windows, and this for considerations whenever returning king or hero gave it pleading splendors, for there was no place like it for plodding along straight uninterrupted view of marching columns. Membron, where upon the bridge is found, like such undurable door and in an Elsewhere, history tells of one of these who left the bridge at the age of 71 and retired to the country, but he could only spread and toss in his bed. He could not go to sleep, and the deep sleeps was so painful, so awful, so oppressive. When he was worn out with it, at last he fled back to his old home, a lean and haggard spectre, and found the peacefully to rest the pleasant dreams under the rolling music of the rushing waters and the boom and crash and thunder of London Bridge. In the times of which we are writing, the bridge punished of Jack Russell in English history for his children's name neither lived, and the caning heads of renowned men impaled upon iron spikes atop of its gateways, but with its grass. Hamden's lodgings were in a little inn on the bridge. As he neared the doors with his small friend, a loud voice said, "Ah, so, Dork has come at last. Oh, not. Escape again." Hour on these then, if the pounding, the bones to a pounding came, titty somewhat, and thought not to keep us waiting another times, my help, and John Canty put out his hand to seize the boy. Miles hands-on, stepped in the way and said, "Not fast, friend, or neither street or rough, methinks, what is allowed thee? If it be any business of thine to make and the marvel in others appears is my son. Ah, 'tis a lie, cried the little king hotly. Boldly said and believed thee, and whether the small head fist be sound and grow cracked, and my boy, and then but whether it is be the refuse to be the follow knows that it is all wrong. I shall not have this to be the end of views according to his threat, so those prefer to abide with me. I know him not, I loathe him, so will die before I go with him. Now to stutters, and there is not more to say. We'll see as to that, exclaimed John Canty, striding past the headland to get at the boy. By force shall he. If thou do but touch him, though animated awful, I'll speak thee like a goose, said Hendon, blowing the waist and laying his hand upon his sword hilt. Canty drew back. Now, said Marquez, the continued Hendon, I took this rod as under my protection, when more such as those would have mishandled him. We have to kill him. Don't imagine thou desert him. Now to a worse fate for whether those are his brother or no, and sooth to say, I think it is a liar, decent, swift, that's or better for such a lad, and life in such as brute hands as thine. So go the waste, and as I think about it, for I like not much spendings of words, and being not of fashion in my nature. John Canty moved off the muttering threat, and the curse and was swallowed from sight in the crowd. Hannah ascended his 3 flights of stairs to his rooms with his charge, after ordering a meal to be sent thither. It was a full apartment with a shabby bed and some old stand of the old furniture in it, and was vaguely lighted by a couple of sickly candles. The little king dragged himself to the bed and lay down upon it, almost exhausted with hunger and fatigue. He had been on his feet a good part of the day or night, but it was now 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and had eaten nothing meantime. He murmured drowsily, "We tell me," when the table was spread, and sank into a deep sleep, and immediately a smile twinkled in Hannah's eyes, and he said to himself, "Well, mass, the little beggar takes to one's quarter, and then usurps to one's bed as with his nature, and he's dressed as if he owned them so whatever by your sleeve, and so please you, oh, anything of your sort." In his disease, Livingston called himself the Prince of Wales, bravely resolved to give up the characters the full little friendliness that, though his mind had been disordered with ill usage as well. I'll be his friend. I've saved him, and it draws me strongly to him. So, I love the bold-tongued little rascal. How soldier-like he faced a smutty lover and flung back his high defiance, and what a comely and sweet and gentle face he hath. Now the sleep hath conjured away his troubles as his griefs. I'll teach him our curious melody. I'll be his eldest brother, and care for him, and watch over him, and then also cherish him, and then do him hurt, and may our be shroud. But though I be bound, for each child need it. He bent over the boy and contemplated him with kind and feeling interest, tapping the young cheek tenderly and smoothing his back, and tangled curls with his great brown hand. A slight shiver passed over the boy's palm, and muttered, she now saw how like a man it was to let him lie here uncovered and feel his body with a deadly relief. So now, what shall I do? To like him to take him up and put him within the bed, and he saw his needed sleep. He looked about for express covering, but finding downs and doffed his doublet and laughed at the lad, and it saying, with snipping and scat for apple, this I shall mind the cold, then walk up and down the rooms and keep his blood in motions so longish as before. I think you reminded, persuaded him he is a prince of ways. Dear, we ought to have prince of ways still with us. Now that it was the prince's prince no more, but king for this for mine is set up from the one fantasy, and will already know that it should cast by the prince and chorus out the king. If my father lives still, after these 7 years that I've heard notes from homes in my foreign dungeon, you welcome the poor lad, and give him generous shelter for my sake. So will my good older brothers offer my other brothers the whole, and they brought out crack his crown, and he interferes. The fox heart is the ill-conditioned animal. Yeah, leaders will we spare and strength way too. A servant entered with a smoking meal disposed is often a small little table to place the chairs, and took his departures, leaving such cheap lodgers as these to wait upon himself. The door slammed after him, and noise woke up the boy, who sprang to sitting posture and shot a glance about him. Then a glimpse look came into his face, and he murmured to himself with a deep sigh, like it was but a dream, or is me. Next he noticed the Mars Handams, and doubly glanced from the two Handams to comprehend the sacrifice that had been made for him, and said generally, "Thou art good to me." "Yes, thou art very good to me," and take it and then put it on. I felt needed more. Then he got up and walked to the washstand in the corner and stood there, waiting handsome, said in a cheery voice, "We'll have a light, hearty sup and dine now, for everything is settled and smoking hot." And then the not together will make the a little man against no fears. The boy made no answers, but bent a steady look that was filled with great surprise, and also somehow touched with his impatience. Upon the tall knight of the sword, and then Hendon was puzzled and said, "What's amiss? And good sir, out wish me." "Oh, is that all?" "Ask no permission of Mars Hendon, for all and Dora craves. Makes this out of perpetually free here. Welcome with all that so artist belongings." Still the boy stood and moved not more. He tapped the floors once or twice with his small impatient foot. Hannah was wholly perplexed. He says, "Who's it?" And then please pour the water, make not so many words. And then suppressing a hoarse laugh and saying to himself, "By all the saints, but this is admirable," stepped briskly forward and did the small insolent biddings, then stood by in a sort of stupefaction until the command calmed down, and woke him sharply up. He took up a towel and from under the boy's noise, then handed it to him without comment. He now proceeded to comport his own face with his wash, and while he was at it, he sought after the child seated himself at the table and preferred foot, and then dispatched his allusion with his alacrity, and then drew back the other chairs was about to place himself at table when the boy said indignantly, "Poor Blooms, sitting in the presence of king? This blow staggered the hand to its foundation. He mutters himself, laid full scenes, and matters still up to it time that it has changed with its great change that has come to the 11th, and now in pensions king at a good luck. I must assume that considered to there is no other way to face he would order me to the towers. And pleased with this gesture, he removed the chair from the table, took his stand behind the king, and proceeded to wait upon him in the courteous way he was capable of. While the king ate, the glow of his royal dignity relaxed a little, and with his growing contentment came a desire to talk. He said, I think those cost deserve as much hand. If I heard you right. Yes, sir, Master replied. He observed himself. If I must humor the poor lad's madness, I must sorry. I must modest him. Must not go perhaps. I must stick to nothing that belongs to the part I play. I'm sure I play, it will add and work deeper to this triumph than the counter cause. The king warmed his heart with a second glass of wine and said, Oh, no, thee, tell me, thee, sorry. And the thousand gallant way with thee and then our artist nobly grown. Without the chair of nobility is good, your majesty, my father is a baron, is one of the smaller lords of the fine officers, Sir Charles Hendon of Hendon Hall, by the monk's hall in Kent. The name has escaped my memories. Go on, tell me stories. It's not much to your majesty yet, for hence it may be go ashore and half hours for one of the betters my father so Richard is very rich and of a most generous nature. My mother died whilst I was yet a boy. I have two brothers, the authors and my elder, but so like to his father's and her, the younger than mean spirit, covetous, treacherous, bashers, unhandled through the forest. Such was he from the cradle, such was he 10 years past. When I last saw him alive, but Lascar at 19, having 10, and as the authors were 22, there is none others of us but the lady, at least my cousins who was 16, and beautiful gentle, the daughter of the last of her race, at the greatest fortune and lustrous title. My father was her guardian. I loved her, and she loved me. But she was betrothed to others from the creditors, and so Charles, when I suffered a contract to be broken, also loved us. Another made that bade us to be of good cheer and hold fast to the hope, and then glide love together to some day give success to our several causes. He loved the ladies to his fortune, though in truth he said it was absurd. He loved what then was his way, always. To say the one thing and mean the other, but gross this heart upon the girl. He could deceive my father, but none else. My father loved him, best of us all, and trusted to believe him, for he was the youngest child, and in others hated him. This courted being in all ages sufficient to win our parents' dearest love. He had a smooth, treasure talent, with a steady marble of lining, and these be qualities to which do mightily assist a divine affection to call himself I was one, and in truth I might go out and the forest and say, but why? There the first violence of an innocent soul since he heard, and none but me and the broad shame, to nounce nor rust nor hand, and it and the taint of this crime, or business, and what more not machines and minds and overdoing. Yeah. Did my brothers teacher and then to indeed for to good account, seeing that our brothers' author's task was good but indifferent, and hoping the worst might work in profit, where I swept out of the path of the truth, though alone take good my lead, and little worse the tellings briefly, and this the brother did daftly magnify my faults, making crimes and adding to base the work, and with finding a certain letters in my apartment to convey succeeded by his own means and did convince my father by this. The sovereign, having sovereigns, outlining camp knives, and I was minded to carry off to my Alice and marry with her in rank to against of his hopes. 3 years of banishment from home, and England might make a soldier and a man of me. My father says, teach me some degree of wisdom. I fought out my long probation in the continental world, tasting some truths without hard knocks probation of adventure, but in my last battle, I was taken captive. During the 7 years that I have waxed wane since then, the foreign dungeon hath harbored me. Through wit and courage I won to the free air, illustrates the flat hither straight, and but just I was delightful in Persh, Raymond, and then for straight knowledge of what these those 7 years to have wrought and hadn't hold, as people's belonging. So please you, sir, my neighbor's tale is told, those that hasn't been shamefully abused, said the little king, with flashing eyes, but I will write thee, and by the course of will I am the king. I said it. Then, piloted by stories of miles along, and then he loosened his tongue and for the history of his own listened to misfortunes, and into the ears of astonished listeners when he had finished. Miles said to himself, "There, what an imagination he hath! Verily this is no common mind, yes, the crazy of saying it could not weave so straight and go their tail out. This out of the airy nothing, earth in half the orb, a discourse long and the fool in a little head to show like a friend shortwise I bide with the living. He shall ever leave my side, he shall be my friend, my little comrade, and he shall be cured, and then made us a hollow sound, then it will he make himself to a name or proudly sure be to say, yeah, he is mine. I took him so harmless little like muffins, and I saw what was in him, and I said his name would be heard. Some days behold him, so observe him was I light. The king spoke in thoughtful measured voice. Thou didst say me injure and shame for trans my life, so my crown such service demanded to which word. Now the desirous sense of it feelings that compose of my lower part is fine. This mental suggestion startles the handles out his liver. He was about to thank the king and the food, the matters aside, was saying his own is done, his duty, and desired no reward, but why the sultans came into his head, and then he asked leave to be silent a few moments and considered the sketches of ideas which the king gravely approved, remarking that it was best to be not too hasty with a thing of such great import. Miles reflected during some moment, then said to himself, yeah, that is the thing to do by any other means. It was impossible to get at it quickest. This hour's experience has taught me true, and it be most very inconvenient to continue it as it is. Yes, I propose it. There was a happy accident that I did not throw the chance away. Then he dropped up on knees and died. My full service went not being the limit of subject's simplicity, therefore has no merit, but since your majesty is pleased, for this toward the son, ruled I take her heart of the grace to make a petition to this effect nearly 400 years ago, as your grace knows, and there being ill bloodless betwixt John, King of England, and the King of France, it was decreed that two champions should fight together in his list, and so settled the dispute by what is called the arbitrament of God. And these kings, the Spanish king, the Venus Empress, the witnessed and judged the conflict. The French champions appeared, but so the daughter was he, and ours, the English knight, refused the matters to weapons with him. And so the matters to which was a weighty one was likely to go against the English monarch and by default. Now, in the Tower lay the Lord of the Corps, the most arms in England, stripped of his honors and possession, wasting him whether its long captivity. Appeal was made to him, he gave assent, and then came forth arrayed for battle. But no sooner did he hear Frenchman's screams, a huge frame, and hear his famous names, but he fled away, and the French king's the cause was lost. King John restores the crucial Titus position and said, "And this the wish thou shalt have it. Though it cost me half my kingdom, or it is thee, Croxy, kneeling, as I denounced Mage answer this then ask my rich that I am. My successors may have no told the privilege of remaining covered in the presence of the kings of England, henceforth while the thrones shall last. The boon was granted, as yours majesty knows, and there hath been no time. These 400 years that Rhine has played of an heir. So even up this way, the head of the ancient house stressed that Lars is fat and harm for the king's majesty without let hindrance. And this none other may do, invoking this position, and added my prayer. I beseech the king to grant me both this one grace and the privilege to more than sufficient reward, and none other to wit that I and my heirs forever may sit in the presence of the majesty of England. Lines and mice walked apart, meeting, and Hampden dropped into a chair at the table, observing to himself the doors of labor thoughts. Ah, roar me my tree and deliverance. My legs had grievously wearied, and I had enough thought of that I must have had to stand for weeks till my poor rise with cured. After a little, when I once then saw as I am the becoming of the kingdom of dreams and in shadow, almost out and the strange portion, and tourist for one, so matter of fact as I will not love no, got for to this thing, and which is so substantially to me is real to him, and to me also, in a way it is not supposed to for it reflects which this sweet and generous spirit that it in him out of force what it he should call me by my fine titles before there's to be a merry contrast between my glory and my lament. But no matter let him call me what he will, so it please him, I shall be content. The end. I read a chapter.